Hello, everybody. Flame Duck 3, Alex Tyler, here, and yeah, we just came off of a top 4 for Battle Hardened. We lost one game all day. Felt very good. It was on this exact list. I've been sharing this list. I did a quick video showing some gameplay of Boltyn in the current meta earlier, and really wanted to get into a not call, but like a tech video specifically on the list. I kind of ran over it quickly before and thought now might be a better time to actually go in depth on it. So below, will be a link to the list. It'll have sideboard guide, because I did tell people I would make it because the deck does not sideboard itself, unfortunately. It is a very difficult list to sideboard, and it's really hard to figure out if you're not familiar with Boltyn. But there's a lot of like questionable things, like, oh wait, just add a one up. But we won't be going over the exact sideboard today. We'll just be talking about exactly how the about hard went and how the list felt. So I guess let's go over the list. How about we just talk about the Valhar first? So just a little quick recap. I went 7-0-1 and 7-1-1. Round 7, me and the Verdants that made finals agreed to intentionally draw. We were hungry and we knew we were locked, so we flipped flipped basically spots. I ended up being first seed, and so it looked like I was undefeated. We were actually both undefeated. So the Verdant's first loss of the day was to the Viscerayan finals. Not to me, but to the Viscerayan finals. And with that in mind, it was a great day. Round 1, play against a local on Enigma. Ended up getting there on the game. He's very new to the game, so he just wasn't familiar with all the specifics on how Enigma functions and things like that. So we started 1-0. Round 2, played another local. He was on a Aurora. Aurora is, in my opinion, a very free matchup for Boltyn, like 60-40, 70-30 even. It's very, very hard for the Aurora to outvalue. So you just play like Soulbond and just go for pure value. Soulbond, still play Warband. And Warband's going to be a card I talk about, because with Halo's Grace, Hog, a lot of people will switch to Hog, and playing Hog specifically. I play Hog in like 2 or 3 matchups only, but we'll get there. But play Warband in that matchup. Really didn't want to break, and proceed to continue. So I get Aurora in round 3 as well. And that game is not as close as the first game I played, but the guy I can't remember, I think his name was Kyle. Shout out to you, Kyle. Sat down and knew what Boltyn did instantly. So it was a nice refresher to actually play against someone that knew what Boltyn does, so they're not just picking up your cards, asking you all the questions, etc., etc. We had a fun game, but Aurora is just a bad matchup into Warrior. So we kind of just ate it alive. And then round 4 was into, I think it was into Adam on Viscerayan. And his list is pretty neat. I haven't actually played against many of the non-MOV lists, only a handful. I think we'll get to there. In this top 4 was the first time I lost to a non-MOV list. I thought it was just incorrect, but apparently it's pretty strong when you draw well. Adam did not see any more druids, unfortunately. So he saw no more druids. I kind of had a massive turn on turn 5 with the V turn, why we played Tunic in the matchup, and we just got there. It was a very close game, but I just kind of blew him out of the water at the end, and he just had to keep blocking, and it just worked out for us. So we're now 4-0. At this point in the Battle Hardened, we're actually looking at top tables, and there's like 4 CYB dashes. I think round 4 even had a stream of Count Your Blessings dash up there, so it was kind of crazy. I have had practice in the CYB dash, and the list that I believe, I can't remember the team name, it was Mo Bogsley and the guy I played, I can't remember his name. I haven't got his name, but either way, they're on the same team, they're playing the same list, does actually horrendously into Boltyn. They were like teching for Enigma because they had so many attack actions. It was wild. So I actually appeared into one in round 5, and I eat it alive. Like I play 1v. I'm pitch stacking, charge cards properly. I'm playing really well, and got there. It wasn't even close. I think I was at like 24 life. They've only played like 4 Count Your Blessings. It was like turn 7. They died. We didn't break. It was a wonderful time. And then round 6, is where things got a little dicey. I had to win the next two to get in. Looking at top tables, there were Visses, which is not the best matchup, which I was like, okay, another CYB Dash, the CYB Verdance, which, again, never actually got to play. But I've had testing in CYB Verdance, so I know how the matchup goes. We'll get to that. And everything. So yeah, it was great. But we ended up getting paired into Lucas Oswald on stream. I've played Lucas a handful of times before, and I beat him. I think I said this 2 times. I beat him both times beforehand. So this wasn't him on anyway. I think he was on Bravo both times. But either way, I ended up taking the game on stream. Very close game in a lot of ways, and I think Lucas wasn't very happy with how he played because the matchup A is very Enigma favored. I guess that's one thing I'll put out there. Very Enigma favored. And 2, I have a million reps into the matchup, and he was about on game 15 of Enigma, where, yeah, he was doing really well all day, and that was his 15th game, like a round of Enigma, while I have thousands of reps on Boltyn, and probably hundreds into that matchup just because I play the deck so much. And I think it really shows that the matchup knowledge was more so favored on my end, and I would say he would probably agree with that. And then round 7 we just never played. So yeah, once we locked top 8, I think it was kind of weird because I don't think they were looking at like what heroes were like at top tables, because when I got told I was on a backup stream and they asked me what hero I was playing and I said Boltyn, they instantly talkied into DM Armada and said, well, I think it was more so to Mansant, and Mansant's like, no, get the Boltyn on the table. So we actually just they pushed us to round 6 on top table because they were dumbfounded that Boltyn was 5-0. I mean, like a lot of people aren't on the deck. A lot of people aren't high on the deck, and I'll get into why that's the case here soon after I recap everything. So 6-0, round 7, talked to, I think his name was Lucas, and was it Lucas? Maybe it's Luke. And because it was Lucas as well, I think Luke was the other guy that was on Verdance, and we ended up just potentially drawing. We were gonna, if I made it to finals because he ended up making the finals, we were just gonna roll a die. See who goes first. No reason not to. And then we got to top 8, and I saw that I got paired into Lucas Oswald again, and I wasn't pretty excited about that because like at the end of our first match, I kind of gave him tips on how to play the matchup, and I'm never one to like hide information or anything like that, so I'm always gonna like tell him exactly what's going to go on with everything, and so it just made sense to me. I prefer to give information because then you get better games overall in general, especially when people aren't familiar with Boltyn. But either way, we ended up going. What's it called? We ended up getting there. That game was insanely close. He had a massive turn. If I don't draw V at the end of the game, I don't spike the turn, and he probably wins the game on the spot. So it was a fortunate draw at the end there. Very, very close. I think it's a lot closer than he realized it was going to be. I had to draw the V there. I mean, to be fair, it's like round 8, and like it's round 8 of the day. And it was like turn 8. Like I hadn't seen a single V yet, so it was great. And then we get to the Viscera match, and the Viscera match was probably one of my favorite matches I've ever played. I feel like every time I've played, like I lose a match, it's like one of my favorite I've ever played, because like the match was so wild. Like go watch it if you haven't seen it. I throw a 30 damage turn on turn 3. He throws 20 damage turn on turn 2 into a 20 damage turn on turn 3. Like we were both low. Like I think it was only a 5-turn game. It was insane, absolutely bonkers. He ended up winning the event, so congratulations. I can't remember his name, but very fun guy to talk to. Very fun match. I really enjoyed it. But a lot of people weren't expecting Boltyn to do well. Even people I was talking to about the deck, they were like, I think people, my locals really believed in me, but online, people who are really good at Boltyn, I've talked to about the list and trying to figure out how to adjust it. They just felt like Boltyn wasn't in a good spot this meta. And I would agree. I don't think Boltyn is amazing. I think you have to be highly skilled, and you have to understand every single matchup and what your opponent's trying to do to you. That's just Boltyn in general. Boltyn's not an easy deck to play. People say it is, and people will go off and how Boltyn just doesn't have the numbers. But if anyone says Boltyn doesn't have the numbers to compete, they're just wrong. They don't know how to play the deck, and they haven't played against someone who knows how to play the deck. The deck really does generate a lot of value. Either way, how about we go over the list now and talk about decisions? So I'm a stand for Being Bravado. I just refuse to play blues in my deck, so that's why I'm not on blue Being Bravado. I could see people playing blue with this card. I'm not gonna lie to you, especially with like a pitch of blue to like take flight. Valiant Thrust is just super strong, especially off of E when you're on Soul Bond. I could see blue Being Bravado being a card, but I just refuse to. I haven't tested it, but I just refuse to even try it. Bolt of Courage, because Bolt of Courage. So I'm on 2 Steel Hand. And what I came to realize is that when I was playing 3 Steel Hand, I was breaking too much on them. I was drawing them, I would Arsenal 1, because it's usually what you want to do with the Steel Hand. You kind of want to just, you use it as a way to make sure that your charge cards are able to extend. Not, and you don't just want to like guarantee, like you can guarantee on hits, but you really don't want to force that. It's really, you want to force your bullets, your engulfing lights to be able to go wider on the turn, so you usually hold on to it for that scenario. Like, there are some situations where you just use it to buff an attack just so you can go wider, like, so you can just get the extra damage in or get the on-hit, but most scenarios just want to arsenal it. So with that in mind, though, I would arsenal one, and I would draw another one, and then my hand would be, like, really wonky. Twos felt really nice. I think one's too little, two's really nice this meta. Feels really, really good. Engulfing Light, just a good charge card. This card's insane still. Never not, won't be insane. Enlightened Strike, and people are on 2. I tried to. I love E-Strike. Even with the new Armory deck support, E-Strike got better. I don't know how it did, but it did. And usage, all the modes are active. I think in every single, I played every single mode this weekend. One of my games ended with E-Strike for 7, go again, E-Strike for 7, go again. Not like E-Strike for 7, E-Strike for 7, ended a game. Because they're at 2, and they just couldn't block it out as too much value. And I didn't have a charge card, but like E-Strike's a great card that lets you have a good turn without a charge card. Because you can like go E-Strike for 7 on a 3-card hand and do Illuminate. There's just a lot of options there. You don't always need to be charging with Boltyn. I think that's what this deck capitalizes on. Which is why we're playing Warband more often than not. But we'll get to that. So I'm on 3 E-Strike because I really do like it. It does clunk up the V turns. And you can see that actually in one of my games against Lucas Oswald, I think it was the first one, I do draw E-Strike on one of my V turns, and I decided not to go with the V turn. I decided to do a different turn instead. So with that in mind, E-Strike, play it. Great card. Armored Equipment really helps it. It's great. Express Lightning is just wounding blow that charges. I'm not in love with this card. It's fine. It hits a breakpoint. It's good into Enigma while you're on it. There's not a better charge. Red Charger. It's just fine. It's not an amazing card. It's not the flashy. It's just a wound blow, and we need a wound blow that reads charge. Unfortunately, that's just kind of what the deck needs. Illuminate. Really, really good card. This is a Boltyn staple. I saw some people taking this out because their equipment doesn't require needs more soul, but I'm like, this card is too good. 1 card for on-hit soul generates the massive turns that you see me develop into the Viscera game. I didn't play Illuminate that turn, but it's a consistent way to actually do that. Like, that turn was high rolling. It was like Magical Christmas Land, don't get me wrong, where I'm throwing 30 damage on turn 3 with enough soul after Illuminate turn. Like, it was a crazy turn. But I don't think it's as Magical Christmas Land as people make it out to be, because you have the resources now to just accumulate soul for free. There's a lot of ways to do that, and that's by taking turns off, defensively with the new Armory equipment. There's just a lot of ways to do that. So Illuminate is very, very strong. Light the Way, I was off of it for a bit, got back on it. It's really good when you're on Soul Bond. It's okay when you're on Tunic. It's just a better charge card than anything else, unfortunately. It's just how it works. Bolt Bannerets, you need these. If you're playing Boltyn, don't have these, buy them. Like, this is how you get your value. 2-card 8s, 3-card 9s. Like, it's worth it. You really, really need this value. 3-card 10s, 3-card 11s. Like, things like that. So, yeah, you really, really want those. Beacon of Victory, crazy card. Yeah, there's not really much else to say. This card is insane. Like, you're going to play it, it's not a Boltyn staple. Celestial Cataclysm has gotten insane value since the Armory deck. This card is a 3 of. It never leaves the main board. You always play it. You always have enough soul for it. It's like, it's somehow, it's a card that we get the leverage in the mid to late game to actually recreate the value that people say we're missing. A 1 card 7 is still insane. Like it's absolutely bonkers. So we take it. We take it. We take it. We take it. Lumina's Ascension. I mean, I just want you to talk on this card. It's Lumina. And then there's a reason why Lumina is to me, right? Like, there's a reason why that exists. Saving Grace, new Armory card, deck card, 3 of. I don't always play this. I don't know why I have this in the main board. I don't play it in every matchup. I play it in like 99% of matchups. The matchups I don't play it in is if I know there's a CYP deck, no reason to play this. We need to go aggro as possible. And Enigma. Don't want to play this. But every other matchup I do. So, why it's probably in the main board. Spirit and V, you do your thing. And we'll go to the sideboard. I think this is where the list gets more interesting anyways. Boltyn decks are always like 50 of the same card and 30 of a different. So, we'll take a look. So, Spirit of War. This card got really good after the Armory deck too, because you can charge with boots, and then when you're on Soul Bond, it generates like 4 value. If you have a Spirit of War in hand, it generates so much more. You can end your turn with a Courage token. You actually see it twice, where I abused the Courage token that Lucas also lets me get. He lets Raiden hit with the Courage token off of Iron Song, and I get to go. We'll get to Iron Song in a minute, because I'll talk about my equipment suite, because I think that's really important for the deck. But Spirit of War does the same thing. It lets you high roll those decks that you're playing Soul Bond, and it's basically a better V, again, in those matchups. Take Flight V, Valiant Thrust. Valiant Thrust only comes in for like 4 matchups. The cards are crazy. Crazy strong when you need to out-aggro somebody, when you can out-tempo somebody. I don't play it every time I play Tunic. I don't. It's just not worth it. But if I'm like the CYB decks, cards insane. Enigma, cards insane. Like those type of decks, really strong. Take Flight, I'm playing 3 of. I usually slot in 2 to most matchups. Not guaranteed. Again, you'll see the sideboard guide for every hero. Take a look at it. I think it's really interesting to see how the cards ebb and flow from it. But Take Flight's really strong for the matchups where we need to go aggro 2. So, because it lets us keep 4-card hands and get Soul, and getting Soul is like the hardest part about Boltyn when you're playing Tunic, Snapdragon Scalers. None of the new Armory stuff is that you really need to get Soul. Like, the sideboard's all about like kind of reverting to like the old way we would play Boltyn. The way that we would actually have good, very high aggro matchups. And that's what the sideboard, like, this is what this part of the sideboard is, like, with Take Flight and Valiant Thrust. That's what it's included. Banner of Protection is crazy. This card's insane. I don't know what else to say. Get your EAs, they're super cheap. Like, compared to the other 2. This card's, like, if I see one Banner of Protection in the game against this, like, I win the game if I charge it over, like, a Light the Way or any of the other cards, right? Like, that's it. But I'm using it as an example of, like, that's where we can leverage these charge cards, right? Like, Banner of Protection is really good this meta. It stops Verdance from going over the top against you, too. With, like, Aether Tide, you don't prevent the one on the Aether Tide, by the way. You always prevent the one on the attack, because taking one from the Aether Tide is fine. You just don't want the surge effect. So you can just prevent one there. You're willing to take the one, because then if you throw the one and then they, like, plow under you, you just kind of wasted the protection token. So you kind of want to hold it on there. But either way, this card's really good. You play in all arcane matchups. There's so much arcane damage going on. We can't pitch to it. This is our way to pitch to it. We have to see it. And same with Banner of Salvation. This card's been okay. I missed 2 triggers, actually, in string games. You can go watch those. Not into this, thankfully. But into both times against Ossel, I missed gaining life. I don't think it can't matter there. I just played in that matchup just because it's a card that I can charge to get value, because we just need to play aggro value. But Salvation is really good in these Rune Blades too, because if we're gaining life, we can afford to take more rune chance that we can't pitch for. I'm only on 2. I wouldn't go more than 2, because it's just, you kind of don't have the room for 3. I would play 3 if we had more board room. We just don't. Bolting Blade, crazy card. Just pop Tunic when you have a Bolting Blade. Pop off. It helps us in CYB matchups. Yada yada. I mean, it's just, I know some people don't like Bolting Blade. I think it's crazy. I think it's really soul efficient and resource thought. Like, it's really nice to have with V. It's all like, and you can see me, it's fine to pitch a yellow for it too, because it's just like another Valiant Thrust, just costing 2. And you're okay with that, because you usually have yellows to extra pitch, so it's like not the end of the world. When you're playing it, you're usually okay with it. Luminal Lance, a lot of people ask me about Luminal Lance. I'm playing 2. And it's just because I was on 3, cut it to 2 because 3 was too much. Like, Courageous Steel Hand, seeing it too much, not enough soul, not enough things to do with it. We have so much excess soul when we're playing Soulbond, which, well, again, we'll get to equipment because there's Soul Shield in the list too, that, like, you just need more ways to, like, funnel that resource, that, like, +2 draw a card. Like, you need to find more ways to get value out of the soul because we just accumulate it so fast now. Like, we just need to leverage that power. And then 3 Soul Shield. Soul Shield doesn't come in too often. It's like for Azalea, for Bravo, Guardian. I didn't think I boarded it in once yesterday. I didn't play anything that really needed to go against it, but just a really good D-React. There's nothing really here else that I was thinking about putting Tenacity in, but it's not good. Like, Tenacity doesn't help for CYB decks, and we're already really good into CYB decks, so it doesn't, like, really leverage anything. So let's go over equipment. So, I'm running Tunic, both Tunic and Soulbond. So, Soulbond is the main way to play this deck. I think you play it in 60 to 70% of the matchups, while you play Tunic 30 to 40% of the time. Soulbond, really, really strong. I'm a Soulbond truther. I can't help it. I love this card. I love this card since release. I thought it was really strong. With the new Armory equipment, it got even stronger. Playing defensive value, playing a defensive game, it's what like a value game is really what Boltyn wants to do. Allowing you to accumulate the soul while blocking is immense. It's why Saving Grace is so good. It's why Warpath of Windgrace is so good. It's why Hog is so good. Like, right, like why all these charge cards are so good is because when they're paired with Soul Bond, you get more value out of your soul generation, which is really what the deck needs, especially defensively. Because if you brick on like an all Banneret hand, 99% of the time you really want to come in for it. But so I play Soul Bond like 70% of matchups. Usually when you, again, sideboard below, you play Soul Bond into matchups that want to aggro you down, and you play basically Tunic into tempo matchups that you have to tempo, that you don't really have a choice. Like, they block you too well, like Warrior, like Enigma. Viscerai is the only aggro matchup I think I play Tunic into, just because you need to play for a high roll, which I hit. I hit that in the top 8, by the way. It's not like I didn't hit high roll. I don't think I played that game wrong, really, in any respect. There's like one misplay I can point out, but I'm going to do like a whole like stream game review and record that and post it, just to walk through plays and what I was thinking at the time, talk about everything. But there's very few matchups that, like, Tunic V is needed. You can just play this value game. No deck right now can actually outvalue you. Aurora can't outvalue. That's why, like, you play Soulbond, it doesn't outvalue you. You play Tunic into Yuzuri just because they can fatigue you. Like, that's kind of where you really want to play Tunic. It's decks that you think you can get fatigued by. I know New can fatigue you, but, like, you should be able to out-tempo you. If you get fatigued, you've probably played wrong at some point. I'm sorry to say that. I've done it. I've been fatigued, but I realized where I misplayed and where my missteps were. You got to think back and look back at your games to realize where you missed value. Because that is the biggest thing with this, like, value. You're just accumulating it. You really, really need to play for it. Hail of Illumination just for Kano. Yada yada. And, you know, Kano's a deck, unfortunately. Helm of Hail of Grace compared to Warband. So this is the question I am getting DM'd about. I am getting added at. Why am I playing Warband over Hog? I know Panda is a big Hog enjoyer. I know Ellie is a big Hog enjoyer. I know a lot of really high-level Boltyn players are Hog enjoyers. I always push back when talking to them about Hog. Hog is an amazing card. Hell, it is better than Warband in some scenarios. I have it in my list. I play both. But I played it only into pure aggro matchups that can, like, high roll you. So, Hog is really good into decks that you really need to have 5-card hand blocks. And why is it so important? Because you can generate soul while blocking and get another card back. This would be for Levia, these Blood Rush Bellows turns, KO, Blood Rush Bellows turns, Azalea, Dominate. Like, those are the big examples. Other than that, as you can see by my list, I'm really leveraging not having a charge card. I'm trying to do my best to have enough in soul and just be able to throw, like, a 5-card 19 without charging. Cataclysm and E-Strike into Illuminate, that's a Like that's a 5 card. No, that's a 4 card 18 damage turn. No other hero in the game generates that besides Enigma, and Enigma has to jump through. Like we have to set it up for it, but that's where the value of Boltyn comes from. So that's why I play Warband because I'm hedging that my hands where I brick on cards where I don't have enough soul, I can charge off a raid and then do something with them. You see it in the Viscerai game where I don't have enough soul. I literally have to go Warband, Swing Raiden, Pitching Spirit, Charging Banner and a Courage because my hand's awful. Draw into Bolting Blade, and now he's just salvage for a 3-card 10, which is crazy. It was crazy in that game state, really, really strong. Not strong enough, but like it was still like really good. And you can see me aggressively use it into Enigma. Anytime I don't have a charge card in hand, I'm breaking it. There's ways, like, sometimes you don't have to, because you can just throw a 4 card 14 without it, and you'll be fine. But I think Warband, that onboard charge is just so strong. I think people really undervalue it. I think they don't realize, like, I hear people complain about Boltyn is, like, when they don't draw a charge hand. And this is what this deck does really well. This deck plays through non-charge hands insanely resiliently. Or it plays around charging on your second attack. You see that in like my game too, where I go 5 E-Strike Gogan because I have none in soul. And I just don't want to get blown out by me just playing Light the Way, and because that's my only charge card. So we have ways to extend it without needing to charge. But there are hands where we still have to charge. Once per game, maybe. Less than. But where Warband comes in. And Warband can cause some of the most degenerate turns and spirits on the board. Helm of Halo Craze can't do that. Helm can't cause degenerate board states. Warband can. I don't know how else to explain it. I think Warband is a very undervalued card in Boltyn currently. And I think it is probably one of the best equipments in the game. And it blocks 3 if you need to. Like, it's very flexible. It's way more flexible than Hog. You don't know what you're drawing off a Hog. But Hog is still really good in other ways. So I get it. I get where the confusion comes from. A lot of high-level Boltyn players just don't think they need Warband. But I think it's very, very important for what Boltyn's goal is. I think you have to look at your Boltyn deck list, your 20 cards that you're not playing, and ask, what's more important? Am I ever going to, like, do I care if I miss on a charge card? Am I leveraging that missing out on charge cards okay? Am I playing a lot of charge cards? Like, there's a lot of questions you have to ask whether you want to play Hog or Warband in matchups. And I refuse to lose tempo because I missed the charge card. I just refuse to. I know there's that, and the deck plays like that. The deck plays that way. And you can see me play that way too. Just go watch the streams. I break Warband every single one of my games. I break Warband. Like, the card is immensely important for Boltyn. I think Hog is really good, but I think Warband is stronger. I do. I'll hold that true. Iron Song, I used to play the Courage hands. I tried them for the longest time because I was like, oh, this is just another Warband. Like, what was it? Bracers, Bog? Yeah, Bracers of Grace. I was playing them, and they're good. Like, the Bracers Grace, great substitute. One thing I was missing for Iron Song was filtering. If I were to draw a no charge hand turn 0, because that happens, don't really want to break Warband, but I want to filter my hand, so I kind of want it, like, you need a pitch outlet of some sort. Iron Song does that. Also, generating the Courage token, I generated it was crazy how many Courage tokens I generated this weekend. It was insane. I generated so many off of Iron Song. Just guaranteeing go again for the next turn is really, really nice. People just don't want to block raid, and I don't know why. Yeah, simple 0 for 3. It's like Starfall. Very like Starfall. No Run Gloves is for Kano and Verdance. You play it for Verdance in case you get Mind Warp for 1. And your hand's like, I can afford to pitch and do it. My hand's like, my 3-card hand's busted. I don't want to shuffle. So that's why you play it. Otherwise, it's just those two. Raiden, it's a pure Raiden list. Card's really, really good once you realize how to use it and it functions properly. You don't have to always be swinging it, but should be swinging it a lot. Snappies. Okay, so I think I cannot remember the other guy's name. I think it's Sam. They both commented on me running snaps into Enigma, And yeah, it's like the only reason it's there. It's there for matchups that you cannot afford to lose tempo. Same with like you have to bring in snaps into Enigma because you can't just whiff on a turn. You have to make sure you guarantee go again off your charge card. Unfortunately, Warpath doesn't do that. So snaps are super important for that. I didn't have to break in game 1. I don't even think I broke in game 2. But either way, they're there just in case. It comes up a lot more. I got extremely lucky not having to break them. But just so people are aware, it is crazy, crazy, crazy important that you have these for Enigma. Like you need them for Enigma. You also need them for arguably for Warrior. I've been had a lot of Warrior testing recently since Armor deck just because there's not a lot of Warriors going around. Warpath might be good in the map, but I'd be playing snaps into it either way. And then obviously Soulbond, love Soulbond, Warband's great. And then Warpath the Wind Grace, 99. This is 99% of the time just a better upgrade than Snapdragon Scalers. Either way, this is a very long video of me explaining my list. I will post a list in the description below, and I hope everyone enjoyed me just rambling on about Boltyn. I could talk about this all day. I'm going to do a VOD review of the stream games. I think they're all very interesting. I think there's a lot to be learned there. You feel free to watch them yourself, but I think there's things that I can point out that you necessarily wouldn't realize what I'm thinking about during certain moments, during certain times. With that in mind, though, any other questions? If you want to see more content related to Boltyn, feel free to put it in the comments, I guess. I don't really know. I mean, everyone, just so everyone's aware, you're always welcome to DM me about Boltyn questions. I will always answer them. I will do my best to get back to you when I can. I'm very active on Discord, so FlameDog3 on there. You can find me in Purple Chat. I'm not someone that's going to ignore you just because you're new. Like, I'd rather have people learn how to play the game than not, especially when it comes to a very specific hero like this. And the final thing I'm going to say, this deck is a tier 2 deck. I made it look really good. I made it look really strong. I'm not going to lie. I went 7-1-1. Right, like 1 loss in 9 rounds. That's crazy. But there are things with this deck that you need to practice on. I have hundreds of games into every hero. Like, it is insane how much I play this deck. And I drew really well on Saturday. I won't say I drew like perfectly. Some of the games were very average. But I drew poorly one game and I snuck out of it because the Aurora also drew very poorly. With that in mind, though, like, when you're drawing poorly or okay, you have to understand where to leverage your soul, where to leverage your value. And if you don't understand that, it takes a lot of reps. This meta is not Boltyn friendly. Enigma's one of our harder matchups. Viserai, if he starts kicking up, is a harder matchup for a lot of people. It's not a favored matchup. A lot of people don't understand how to play Boltyn into this. With that in mind, though, play the deck, enjoy the deck. It's really, really strong when you know what you're doing on it. And just because I post a sideboard, I think this is why I'm always willing to post my sideboard, is because even with the sideboard, I don't think people will play the deck perfectly. I think there's a lot of things that people need to realize with the deck before you can actually make it function at the highest level possible. I think Saturday, the 3 games on stream really showed how to play the deck at the highest level possible. But it's still one of my favorite decks to play in the game. I just wanted to be very open and honest with people that this deck isn't great in this meta. I will say that. It is fine. It is the most solid tier 2 deck of all time. Like, it will always be tier 2. This deck will never be tier 1 until they print a new deck. Like, new, Monarch cards, new Light Warrior cards. But, either way, this deck is very fun to play. I totally recommend everyone to give it a try. PQ's right in the corner. Dodge your CYB Enigmas if you're on this, and then you'll be fine. Either way, thanks for watching. Hopefully you, again, enjoyed the rant, and I will catch you guys later. Peace out.